Good evening. For those of you in the audience who have not attended one of these hearings recently, let me review our normal procedure. Staff will introduce each item for consideration. If you would like to speak, please fill out the speaker form located on the table in the lobby and indicate the item number and whether you are for or against the item. Please give the form to the clerk seated on my left. The applicant and supporters will be heard first. Those in opposition to the request will be heard next. Then the applicant may be given a chance for rebuttal. Comments should be restricted to pertinent information regarding the agenda item under discussion. If you're an individual, you will have 3 minutes for comments. If you're speaking on behalf of a group, you will have 6 minutes for comments. Speakers should move closer to the podium when their item is being presented by staff. Speakers should identify themselves clearly for the record by stating their name and address. Each speaker should be given respectful and courteous attention. The board may ask questions of speakers or staff members. Information such as pictures, site plans, letters, etc., presented at the public hearing will be kept as part of the public record. If you have something on a cell phone that you would like to show us, and you do not want to give us your cell phone for the public record, then you have to promise to send the items to staff after the hearing. I will then ask for a motion from the board. Once the motion has been made and seconded, discussion will be closed to the floor. Following board discussion, a vote will be taken. During voting, board members who do not cast objecting votes are considered to have voted in support of the motion. Any person aggrieved by any decision of the Board of Adjustment may, within 15 days, file an appeal to the Board of County Commissioners through the Planning and Development Division of the Development Services Department. All right, we're ready for our first item.
Good evening, Kathy Hamill, Development Services. I'm going to be presenting Hillary Payton's items. Our first item that we have is a continuance from our May Board of Adjustment hearing, and it also was continued a second time from our June hearing. It's located at 225 Lake Drive, and it is for a rear yard setback variance from 30 feet to 16 feet for a shed in the R1A zoning classification. And for our board members that weren't present at either one of the hearings, I'd like to give you a brief background of why the item was continued for the first time and the second time. The first time the item came up, there was discussion that ensued about the options that the owner could have in the placement of this thing. We also were talking conditions. Actually, let me back up to see how did it get to us in the first place. It first was called in as a code enforcement violation. They received a call from one of the neighbors. We actually was able to get the violation from the sheriff's office that the applicant had placed metal storage containers on his property, and that there also, it's a metal storage container, and I believe on either end has a stacked second metal storage container. And the complaint came in that they were using it as, they believed that they were constructing it as living quarters or for somebody to live in it. And that's how it first came into code enforcement. Because it was unpermitted construction, it went over to our building department, and then from us, because it needed to have a rear yard setback, he needed to have a variance to make this structure legal. So it was placed on the site without any of the applicable permits. And then the other violation is that it was for living quarters, which isn't permitted in the zoning classification. And then it was in the rear yard setback. So when the applicant came and presented the item, there was discussion about that if he could move the structure, and there were concerns from him that there was going to be difficulty in moving the structure out of the rear yard setback. And there was also discussion about power or utilities for the structure, putting conditions of approval that it couldn't have power or utilities to it. It is confirmed that in this area they don't have water lines, so it would be on a septic system. So it would be water or electrical if it was going to be utilized for storage only. The applicant first came in and wanted to utilize it as a home office, but in the R1A single-family zoning classification, a home office is not permitted as an accessory building. It would have to be attached to the main house for it to be considered to be an addition to the building. And that's where the discussion ensued about the difficulty in moving the structure because it's welded together. So that first meeting, the board said, would you like to continue this so you can look at your options? And then what I'm understanding from the project manager is that the applicant requested for it to be continued again because they were looking at selling the metal containers, and I guess the feasibility, I don't know how that's done, but wanted to have additional time to see if they could sell the structure and remove it from the property. So hence, where we're at now is, I don't know what the applicant's wish is now and how to proceed with it. So we left it as, putting additional conditions on the structure. I think it would only have to be the power and utilities, the ability to move the structure out of the setback, but it still would only be able to be utilized as a shed and for storage purposes only. And then from this process, if he is granted a variance, he still has to go through the building permit process, and that would then be his second step. And if the board has any more questions, I'm sorry I kind of broke it up, but it has had quite a history.
Okay, any questions for staff?
Mr. Chair, sorry.
Yes.
I didn't speak fast enough. So you said that there's additional, because this is the third time this has come here that I've been here, so I'm looking at the conditions in what would be our write-up in our if this was granted, and it says item 3 is the conditions are approved as follows. So the variance only applies to the shed, the 45 by 16 as depicted, and that the shed will not be utilized as a living space, including a home office, which we kind of already determined. But I'm not seeing any additional. You said there was additional conditions. I
Right.
don't see those in here anymore.
There weren't, because there were conditions. You're also, as the Board of Adjustment, that you're allowed to put additional conditions of approval. And one of the things that was the discussion that the board was having was limiting the utilities to the site. And that would be power, water, or sewer connection to ensure that it was being utilized for storage purposes only. And from that, and that was just a discussion that you had. You guys were talking about placing conditions of approval, and then the discussion went to the feasibility of moving the structure. And I think at that time, I think the board and the applicant both realized that, maybe the applicant wanted to look at what all of his options were, and so we decided to continue it. So those would be board recommended conditions of approval, which under your purview, you're allowed to do.
Okay, that's all. I just want to be clear that if depending on the
Right.
temperature of the board, if we do something, that those would have to be added
Right.
to the text. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Okay. Sir, would you like to come up? You state your name and address for the record.
Greg Warren, 225 Lake Drive.
Okay, sir, where are we at?
Well, we have tried to go through several things, and my son that was, if you remember, he came with me as well. He was the one that started this project. He is now moving to Arizona and actually needs a storage unit for all his stuff. We truly want to make this a storage unit. What we do want to do is remove the top two and sell those off and only have the bottom level and keep it as a storage unit under those conditions that were stated.
Okay, and refresh my memory, have you talked to the owners of the property adjacent to you?
Yes, I have a letter that states they have no problem with it. In fact, he would probably take the containers on his property. He's zoned agriculture. And, I'm the only one on my street that's R. Everybody else is agriculture.
Is there anything you'd like to tell us that staff has not told us?
I think you mentioned living space. We never intended it to be a living space. It was going to be a home office. Then we got into to have the home office, it has to be attached to the home. The breezeway became unfeasible because it's 160 feet from my house, and we just decided that would be an eyesore far more than a benefit. So we chose not to go that route. Because of the difficulties of changing the site, we would like to keep it as a storage unit and utilize it as such.
Any questions for the applicant? Sir?
What utilities, if any, do you need to store?
I would like to have it conditioned space so that nothing deteriorates inside, because,
Electric.
I'm sorry?
You need electric.
I would need electric for that. I don't need water or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for you?
Yeah, well, I have one.
Yes, sir.
Depending on how we look at this tonight, you mentioned that you're going to take the top pieces off and no objections to us putting it as that a condition of approval or whatever decision we make?
No problem with that as a condition.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? You have a motion?
I motion to approve with electricity only.
Electricity only? How about the containers on top?
Yes, those need to be removed.
Those need to be
Yeah.
removed. Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Cooper.
I have to get mad.
Simplify it for staff so they know. Okay. Any discussion?
No.
I have one question, just for staff. We talked about, is there any, with the fact that we would allow electric, limit water, is there anything that would cause us concern on that aspect? I know that was one of the conditions that you had mentioned.
Right, to ensure that it's being utilized, limiting the electric, that it's not utilized as a living space. He also has to come in and get the applicable building permits, and so that would ensure also that it's only being utilized, because they have to go and inspect the buildings, and that would ensure that they're only being utilized for storage.
Thank you.
All right, any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries, it's approved. You can have electric, and the two top storage units have to go, and you still have to go through the building code process. Okay? Good luck to you,
Come
sir.
back here.
All right, next item.
Next item is located at 125 Lake Arena Drive. This is a request for a front yard setback variance from 25 feet to 9.9 feet, and also a second setback from the normal high water line, and this is on the north and south property lines, from 25 feet to 0 feet for a privacy fence in the RAA single-family zoning classification. And I'd like for Angie to take it to the site plan. So this is a little bit different than what typically that we do, is that this is lakefront property, and on lakefront property, you may not have a 6-foot privacy fence 25 feet from the norm high water line. So there's two variances. It's on the north side and on the south side, in which that 6-foot fence, in order for it to exceed the 3-foot, has to be 25 feet. On the north side of the property, the fence goes from 9.9 feet from the front property line all the way back to the normal high water line. And then on the south side, it goes from the normal high water line, but it does not go into the front yard setback. So we have the fence that's on the front. It needs a front yard setback from the 25 feet to the 9.9, and then it needs a rear yard setback from the normal high water line back 25 feet from that normal high water line. This fence has been there for several years. The applicant is wanting to replace this deteriorated fence. On the north side of the property is owned by the homeowners association, and the applicant does have approval from the homeowners association. On the south side of the property, you can see the fence between, well, that's the north side, and that vacant parcel is the, I'll stop it right there. This is the south side. This is the fence that also goes to the normal high water line, but does meet the front yard setback from the street side. And he also has approval from that south side neighbor for the placement of the fence. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Just education for me. Do you know what the purpose of keeping it 25 feet off the high water line is?
For waterfront properties, they consider that to be the front yard, and it's the view. So we're looking at our fence regulations. I mentioned a few months ago that we are looking at updating our fence regulations, especially along lakefront property. If you guys know, we've had several variances in the past, and lakefront properties can be very contentious among neighbors when they put structures or privacy fences, because then it blocks their view of the lake. My understanding, and the applicant can expand on this, but I believe that the fence has been there for several years. On the
Okay.
north side, he has HOA approval. The south side, the neighbor has also.
So he's just replacing the fence that's already there? There's no putting in something new that no one's
No.
used to? Okay.
Correct.
Any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Is there anything you'd like to add to the staff presentation? Okay, any questions for the applicant? Okay, is there anyone to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries, it's approved. Good luck to you. Right, next
I'd like
item.
to say this, it hasn't got anything to do with that. I was a county commissioner here for many years, and I want to thank you guys for doing this. A lot of people don't know you do this for nothing. You've got to file a financial disclosure, like you're making some money, but no money, and it takes a lot of time, and it's a great service to the community. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Good luck to you, sir.
Item number 3 is on Lakeshore Drive. It's Lot 10. This is known as Mobile Manor, and they're requesting a front yard setback variance from 20 feet to 14 feet, and also another front yard setback variance from 20 feet to 10 feet for the placement of a mobile home. This area, Mobile Manor, was platted in 1957, and this lot in particular is a double frontage lot. And without granting the variances, we would create a hardship in which they would not be able to utilize this property as others do in this zoning classification. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of both of these variants. If you go to the map, you'll see if you go to the lot that is located to the west of this also received the same variances to be able to place a mobile home. So it is consistent with other variances that have this lot configuration in Mobile Manor.
Any questions for staff? Okay. Is the applicant present? Board, do you want to continue? Okay, what? The applicant's not present?
The applicant is not present. Staff would not be against the board making a motion on this item unless there's any opposition to the item.
Is there anyone here that's here to speak on this request, for or against? Okay.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Heather?
Sure, second, yes.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor of the request, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
I'm not locked into my seconds tonight.
Well, with staff, let's face it, they admit all the requirements to get staff recommendation, and that's actually unusual. So when staff recommend it, we should give due weight to that. You're special. Okay, next item.
Item number 4 is located at 4320 Rocky Ridge Place. This is a request for a rear yard setback variance from 10 feet to 6 feet and a side yard setback variance from 7.5 feet to 1 feet for an accessory building in the R1A zoning classification. This is located in the Woodbine subdivision, and the applicant is requesting to construct a 10 by 14 shed in the rear of their property. Their homeowners association has approved the subject request, and we have also received 2 letters from the adjacent neighbors on either side. And also to clarify that there is a private easement that runs along the rear of the property that's known as Tiffany Lane. So the applicant does not have an immediate rear yard neighbor that would be impacted by the granting of this variance. This concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So any neighbor that it would impact are on either side, and they both said it's fine, and the association said it's fine?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Sir, is there anything you would like to add?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there anyone to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion? Motion to approve, do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have a second?
Oh, got it.
Any discussion?
Quick, I'm going to hire him to be my representative when I need a variance. I think he's got them all.
All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Good luck. Approved. All right, next item.
Okay, for the record, Angie Califer with Planning and Development. Item number 5 is a request for a side yard west setback variance from 7.5 feet to 4 feet for an addition in the R1 Single Family Dwelling District located at 1220 Merritt Street. The subject property is located in Granada South subdivision, and the proposed screen room addition will be 240 square feet and will encroach 3.5 feet into the required side yard west setback. There have not been any prior variances for the subject property, and this concludes my presentation.
Any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Sir, is there anything you would like to add to the staff presentation? If you do, I need you to come forward, state your name and address for the record. We got to get you on the recording.
Just state your name and address.
Oh, yes. My name is Carl Simmons, Carl with the K, 1220 Merritt Street. And out to my Springs, the 32701 and the whole thing.
That's fine.
Okay.
What would you like to tell us, sir?
Well, my wife made me wear this shirt here. It's a trophy husband. She said
That's something I would do.
it's something sleep on the couch. But she really wanted a screen porch because actually she's fighting stage 4 cancer. So she better than that. They gave her 10 months to a year, but now she living 2 years now over that. What the doctor said, but that's a good thing. So she want to enjoy this outside from the mosquitoes and the heat. So she said, I need my screen porch built, so you better make it happen. That's what she told me. So I'm here to say that and also pray for my wife, that's battling renal cancer. That, it's been pretty rough for us, But she just wanted to come and enjoy it outside, because she stayed locked up in the house so much. She want to come out and good breathe. And mosquitoes so bad over there, you know what I'm saying? So she get ate up by mosquitoes, so she want to come in and put a little TV and listen to her music outside on the screen porch. So.
I have a question for you, sir. Why not place it on the other side of the house where it doesn't require a variance?
What other
Next to
side?
the addition? Where it says new addition,
That's the side it's going on.
proposed screen room.
Yes, it's coming on that side. I closed my carport in and I put it on the side of that addition.
Right. I was asking why, see where up top where it says new addition, just above that, it would fit on the right side of that and not require a variance.
Right side?
Just to the right, right here, look.
Uh-huh.
Right here. Right there is.
Yeah, that's the side she wanted. The other side, without the addition, the other side I can't build. I don't have I don't have no door entrance out to my den to go to my screen porch. I have to come outside all the time to go to it. So this here, that addition right there, come right from my den, where I close the carport in, they come right out there into the screen porch. Instead of coming out, I don't have no other, I don't have to come outside, they always go into the screen porch. But this, I come through my house, into my addition, into the screen porch.
Okay. I'm just asking,
Oh.
we're required to look at the minimum variance required to accomplish something. And I was just curious as to why it couldn't go in a different
Oh,
location and it wouldn't require variance. It would just
Oh.
require a door.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's right. Reason why, because there already was a slab there. She want to come outside my den. I used to have a screen porch then have to have a because I had a roof on it already. But I closed that in. I think I closed us in too much. You know what I'm saying? She want to come outside, get some good air and breathe, and without the heat by her battling, because she gets so weak sometimes she can't really come out. Outside like she used to. So she want to.
So you want to place it on the existing slab
Yeah,
that's already there?
there's a
Yes.
slab there already.
Yes.
Okay.
And how does your neighbor feel on that
Love
side?
it. She gonna come on there and enjoy it too. She can't wait. Every time we start talking, we like, okay, we gotta go in the house. Mosquitoes back here. So usually, before I had a jacuzzi out there, that was real nice. So my wife hated that I closed it in. You know what I'm saying? Tucked the screen, put it away. So I said, well, we needed an extra day because we got a big family. You know what I'm saying? So plus, and she gonna enjoy it too. I'm not legally the mayor. After about they call me the mayor. And after because I'm always, I'm a good guy here in the neighborhood.
For the
They always-
record, I also wanted to say he got building permits for every single one of his
Yes.
additions. And
Oh,
including
yeah,
the
oh, yeah, I want to do it right. I want to
Yes.
falling apart. So I want to do it right. Thank you.
We have any
Yep, sir.
questions for the applicant? Yes.
One question, and just for the record, you talked to your neighbor on the west, and they are in support?
Yes, everybody in my neighborhood love me. Even they come by, and they see the thing in my feet. They say, "What you doing?" They always say, "I built a mansion in the hood." That's always tell me that. My mama, don't make my house look nice. You know what I'm saying? They would tell me, "Your house looks so nice." They brag about me so much. Make my mom happy because I'm always doing something around my house, make it look nice. And all my neighbors say, "They're gonna look nice when you get it done." So everybody happy. Everybody know. But
Any
Yeah.
other questions for the applicant?
No.
All right, thank you, sir.
thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve, do we have a second?
Second?
We have a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Enjoy your portion. Good luck to you. All right. Next item. Build it nice, you can move the couch onto the screen porch.
Yes. She took me with no idea.
Good luck with your wife. We wish her well.
Thank you very much.
Next item.
Item number 6 is a request for a side street east setback variance from 25 feet to 0 feet for a privacy fence in the R1 AA Single Family Dwelling District located at 1300 Stanley Street. The subject property is located in the San Lando Springs subdivision and is a corner lot and considered to have 2 front yards for setback purposes. The front of the house faces Stanley Street, and the Beach Avenue side is where the variance is being sought. Traffic engineering has no objection to the placement of the fence as it relates to site visibility. Letters of support were received from 5 of the surrounding neighbors, as shown on the screen in green. The existing privacy fence is 19 feet from the edge of pavement. There are no sidewalks in place at this time. There is a building code violation, 20-52, for the construction of the fence without proper building permits. And there have not been any prior variances for the subject property, but I know this question gets asked a lot, so I did the research prior to the meeting, and I stopped at 5 corner lot variances. I mean, there's other variances like sheds and things, but as related to this, there are more than 5 for side street setback, and 3 of them were for 25 feet to 0 feet. And this concludes my presentation.
Any questions for Sam? Yes, sir.
Just to confirm, the request is to relocate it right where it is?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Sam?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
The fence has already been replaced.
Yes.
So
There's a code
they've already
violation.
put the new fence in, it replaced it in the original location, and they're just looking for the variance after the fact.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Is the applicant present? Is there anything you would like to add to staff presentation? No? Do we have any questions for the applicant? Okay, is there anyone to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. It's approved. Good luck to you. And you still got to get squared away with the building department. Don't forget about them. At the very least, I'm sure there'll be some money. Okay, next item would be the minutes.
I don't have any changes. I don't have any changes.
Was not
All right, do we have a motion
Motion
to
to
approve
approve.
the minutes?
Sure.
Second.
Heather?
Sure, I wasn't
All
here.
right, a second?
I'll go with it.
We have a second?
Second.
All right, a second. All right, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Did carry, the minutes are approved. And I just have one question. I asked a question before I left, as it was of the attorney. Did you get an answer to my question?
The answer is yes.
Yes, I can.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Because you're not explicitly prohibited.
Okay. I prefer to take the view of Mr. Hadaway that as long as we have enough people to do it, I don't want to, but I don't want to ever be in a bind where we can't make a decision because we don't have enough people.
Mr.
The
Chair.
question was.
Yes, thank you. Remind me
Yeah,
of the
the
question.
question I asked was, in the event that, say we had 3 people here, and we were deadlocked, they couldn't get a motion, from either person because you're at odds, could I make or second a motion? And the answer is yes, because we're not specifically prohibited by anything. Because I had looked at Robert's Rules of Orders, and I saw that it was, unless it was specifically prohibited, it was allowed, and I asked the question, is there anything that prohibits it? Because we've had a couple cases, it was all in one day, where we kept having to continue because we couldn't get agreement from the board. And I just think that's bad precedent for the board to have to kick it down the road.
Makes sense. You've increased your power base. That's awesome.
Nice to see
I'm
you
not-
guys.
That is $1 give you a cup of coffee. All right,
Thank you.
see y'all next month.